Hello everyone, this is Aegon of Astora, and welcome back to my blind playthrough of Bloodborne. This is episode 8, and in the last episode we defeated, I believe the Bloodborne, the Blood-Starved Beast, I believe was its name. And we picked up some items that lead me to believe that I might be able to enter one of the chalice dungeons. Which is why we are here starting here in the Hunter's Dream. But first I should mention, before we say hello to Gehrman, I should mention that it's about 30 degrees Celsius in my apartment. And so I have the window open. I'm going to try and edit it out in post. But there is a daycare on the bottom floor of my apartment building. And the kids are currently outside playing, as is, their right to do, they're kids. But so, I apologize if you hear them in the background. I am going to try and edit it out. So far, Audacity has been rather kind to me when I've had a situation like this. But yeah, I apologize. I can't close the window just because it would get much too hot in here. It's 30 degrees with the window open, which, if you're going by Fahrenheit, I don't know the exact conversion. It's something about 90 degrees or something like that. It's basically not comfortable. And so, to the extent that it goes over 30 degrees, I would not be very pleasant in my live commentary. So with that said, let's say hello to Gehrman.
The healing church and the blood ministers who belong to it were once guardians of the hunters. In the times of the hunter, Ludwig, they worked and forged weapons in their unique workshop. Today, most ministers don't recall the hunters, but they have much to offer you. And so, heed the message of your forebears. Ascend to Aegon Chapel.
Okay, so a couple of pronunciations that are interesting there. I referred to the Odin, I would have to hear that again, the Odin Chapel as being the Aegon Chapel. So, good to hear Gehrman correct me there. And secondly, that, he pronounced Ludwig in the same way that I assumed it would be pronounced as a German name. The W is pronounced more like a V. So, really kind of reaffirming the Germanicness, I guess, of that name. Not that it really matters, but just an interesting pedantic note.
Ascend to Aegon Chapel. From there, you will find the church workshop.
And, I just realized how to use the six-axis gestures. And apparently for holding the X button, and you do the gesture with the controller. So, when I sat down in front of that one NPC, that was just in the previous episode when I arrived at that new area. I believe it was the Odin Chapel. It was a rather nice coincidence that I sat down while we were chatting. And just now that perhaps seemed a little bit patronizing, but rest assured I did it by accident, just when I hit the talk button there. So I'm probably not going to try and use it, because I tend to just use the wrong ones when trying. The second thing I wanted to talk about, and also consistent with what I mentioned in the previous episode, it seems as though the NPCs have their expository version of their dialogue, and then when it starts repeating, they just summarize in short. So previously there were no messengers in this bath here. I don't know what triggered it, but now there are some messengers here. And you can actually purchase items with insight. So you may recall, it might have been episode 6 or 7 that I mentioned that I was musing about the strangeness of the insight stat, in that there didn't seem to be any way that you could lose insight, so I was musing about just, does it just go all the way to 99 and then just stay there? And if so, what's the point? And this bath provided the answer to that question, and that you can actually purchase items with insight, which is very interesting. So, off camera, I picked up the small resonant bell, which we will have a look at in a little bit. Amazing note for anyone who was frustrated, as I was in Dark Souls 2, about the lack of availability of a full eye orb for invading, and the dearth of cracked red eye orbs, the lack of cracked red eye orbs in New Game, very much reducing the frequency with which you can invade or be invaded. At least until you get to New Game Plus. It seems as though the only invasion item in this game, the Sinister Resonant Bell, is unlimited use, which to me is wonderful. But it still leads me to wonder why I have not been invaded yet. Probably shouldn't complain about that, because I'm sure I would be slaughtered, seeing as any invader is likely to have a fair bit more experience than I do thus far with the game, seeing as it's been out for more than 2 weeks now, and I just started. By the way, today is Monday, April 6th. It's about 4:45. I had a big presentation today. It went pretty well, I think. And before I go and get back to my work for the rest of the week, I figured I would try and record an episode. So here we are. But in any case, earlier today, I went and I grabbed the small resonant bell and tried to engage in some jolly cooperation. And perhaps I'm over-leveled because I am at level 28. But I tried right outside the Bloodstarved Beast boss room, I tried in Central Yharnam, I tried in Old Yharnam, and nowhere was I able to... nowhere was I summoned by anyone. So I don't know what to make of that. I wonder whether there are network issues that have yet to be ironed out, but though I usually live on... in months past lived on the Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 subreddits, I have avoided the Bloodborne subreddit like the plague among various other places on the internet, not wanting to spoil myself or anything for the game. So you might know the answer to this question. If you want to leave a comment below, non-spoilery comment, to perhaps explain why the online component perhaps doesn't seem as populous as I might have expected it. I would appreciate that. I'm very interested to hear an explanation for that. With all of that said, let's check out item descriptions. A blood-stained bell discovered in the old underground labyrinth. One of the resonating bells that cross the gaps of worlds, but this one knells for misfortune and malice. The sinister bell is an object of dark thoughts. Ring it to become the enemy of a hunter in another world. So we can see again the Bloodborne explanation for the lore reason for online interactions and the resonating bells that cross the gaps of worlds. So very similar to the explanation that Solaire gives in Dark Souls 1. And so we can also purchase 3 at a time for 1 humanity, the Alluring Skulls, the Pungent Blood Cocktail, but I'm not going to do that. Might as well, because I don't know what benefit there is holding on to Insight, other than beyond being a currency. Actually, let's see if there's anything else. Because I know there is an armor set here. That of Gascoigne. So I assume that the Bath Messengers will probably sell boss and NPC armor. Hunter attire worn by Father Gascoigne. Similar to Hunter garb created at the workshop, only these are tainted by a pungent, beastly stench that eats away at Gascoigne. Father is a title used for clerics in a foreign land, and there is no such rank in the Healing Church. So that right there is essentially the reason why, when I first walked into the boss fight and he came lunging at me, that my first thought was to try and parry him, because he seemed very much like a NPC in the same mold as the player, and that is to say, a hunter from a foreign land. So, for one reason or another, Father Gascoigne seems to have gone beast. I don't know what the verb is for hollowing in Bloodborne, but yeah. So he seemed very much like a player-type character, which is why I assumed I could parry him, and assumed correctly, thankfully, because I could see that boss being a lot of trouble and a lot of just enormous pain in the rear if you aren't able to parry him, or if you weren't able to parry him. So we'll just read the unique parts for each of the descriptions. The dingy scarf is a holy shawl and symbol of the healing church, from which Gascoigne would eventually part ways. Okay, so maybe I was incorrect about what I just said then. Because that would seem to suggest that he was part of the healing church and that he wasn't a foreigner. Similar to Hunter Garb created... yep. So the only one with the unique description is this one. It's too bad you can't rotate the armor set, see what it looks like from all directions. Don't really... I can't tell to what extent this would be better than the armor I'm currently wearing. So we're just going to leave it. It certainly doesn't have fashion-born, I guess. Or it doesn't look like it's much more fashionable than the current set I have on, so just going to leave that. So we are going to purchase the Sinister Resonant Bell. We have 3 of these. I'm not going to waste an insight on that until at least we get some more. So we also have the Small Resonant Bell. Small bell discovered in the old underground labyrinth. Its ring resonates across worlds, and the first hunter used it as a special signal to call hunters from other worlds to cross the gap and cooperate. This bell resonates with its counterpart, the Beckoning Bell, ring to help hunters in other worlds. So as I mentioned, I was unfortunately not able to find any jolly cooperation, but such is the way it is. So I'm assuming makeshift, first ritual, second ritual, third ritual. So I'm assuming we would have to start probably at the bottom here, if these are indeed chalice dungeon archstones. A short ritual root chalice is required to conduct a ritual. Okay. Use the ritual altar to create a chalice dungeon with a chalice ritual, or to search for chalice dungeons created by hunters in other worlds. Okay. So we're gonna select the Themuru chalice. Conduct ritual. Yes. I have no idea what I'm doing here, but ritual is finished, and a chalice rests upon the altar. You may now explore the dungeon. Okay, before we do that...
Welcome home, good hunter.
So I turned up the voice the volume for voice in the settings in the game, but I'm realizing that might be too loud, and that it might echo through my television in the dialogue record, or in my audio recording. So
very well. Let me
just turn down my TV a little bit. Okay, so we need just under 1,000 blood echoes to level up. Luckily, while I was waiting to be summoned with my beckoning bell, with the small beckoning bell, I found some cold blood dew outside of the Bloodstarved Beast boss room. So let's see if that gets us up to 1,000. It does indeed, and then some. So
welcome home. What is it? Very well.
So we get our skill up to 18. Only gives us 1 additional point of attack, but
farewell.
I'm still holding out hope that we will eventually find a weapon that has, you know, double C scaling or something like that. Oh, speaking of which, I probably should check to see if the Bath Messengers had anything new. No, it doesn't seem that way. Okay. I guess I'm gonna continue saving this until I get to a point in the game where I don't really know where to go. Because I assume this opens that large gate near the old Yarnum. Was it near the old Yarnum? No, it wasn't. It was near the lantern prior to that. Which one was it? It was near the Cathedral Ward, or the Tomb of Odin. Or Odon. Lantern. I keep wanting to say bonfire, but... Which is why you hear me pausing and hesitating while speaking sometimes. Okay, what did I want to buy here? So, oh, crap. So I only actually have one blood vial left. So my strategy, in my storage that is, so my strategy of using the blood vials to save on consuming Quicksilver bullets appears to have somewhat backfired. So, do I have access to crate for all of these? Yeah, it would seem so. But I don't want to consume the materials before exploring this first one that I created. So what is special about this one that when I'm makeshift? Alright. So I guess I don't have the right type of chalice. Alright. Let me see on the right. Conductor. Privacy. So I read a little bit about the Chalice Dungeons when they were first announced. But the privacy thing, I don't know what quite to make of that. Does that mean that these areas are meant to be explored or meant to be conquered in co-op? Are they challenge areas similar to those in Dark Souls 2? I guess we'll find out. Alright. So based on what I read at the time the Chalice Dungeons were announced, they are procedurally generated. Which is to say that no two Chalice Dungeons are likely to ever be unique. So, or no two Chalice Dungeons are likely to be the same, I should say. So this should be quite interesting. I wonder if this is a shortcut here. So having a... we got some more rats. Having a procedurally generated area kind of goes against... and this was my hesitation when having first heard about it. That it kind of goes against the deliberate nature of the level design in the Souls games. But I'm trying my best to keep an open mind nonetheless. See if we can backstab this rat here. Oh, no. Again, seeing as I'm almost level 30, or am I level 30 now? Level 29. I might be over-leveled for some of these areas. I apologize if that affects your viewing experience, but I will admit to being scared. Tomb mold. We still have to test out the Beast Blood pellet and try to use it to get revenge against minigun guy in Old Yharnam. So that remains on the docket. Mold that grows from rotten flesh and blood inside the old labyrinth matures to bear giant spores. Okay. So I presume we can use that in chalice rituals at the other chalice headstones? I don't know. Do I want to go right up that ladder, or do I want to go explore over here? Let's go explore over here. I see a shiny over there in the corner. Anyway. So based on what I was saying about the deliberate nature of the level design in Souls games, I suppose in the Chalice Dungeon, beyond the fact that, you know, perhaps an item like the one I just found can only be obtained in a Chalice Dungeon, can't really put too much stock into the specifics of where an item would... Oh! That guy dropped something, but his body fell through the geometry. Luckily he has a slow wind up there. This guy seemed like he had fast attack, so I'm gonna transform my weapon. Hello. Oh. Okay, these guys don't seem all that formidable. Blood vials. Certainly going to just start stocking up on those again soon. I have been doing a little bit of farming here and there while waiting for... Actually, shouldn't go up that way just yet, because we got a path over here as well. While waiting for things to render. Oh, hello. Did you think I was a beast throwing fire? It's interesting. Don't fall through, please. Okay. Don't drop anything anyway. Certainly no shortage of graphical fidelity in here. Hello. This enemy looks new as well. Let's see if we can parry him. If you can, I was much too late there. Whoa. Alright. Whoa. Alright. Let's get out of there. Whoa, we gotta kick it. Ouch. So I suppose you could say I was a little bit guilty of underestimating that enemy there. I'm not going to try and parry him this time. I suppose he can be parried, but I believe my timing was off on both accounts. What? Why would there be a lamp right after the other lamp? Okay. Perhaps an issue with procedural generation? I don't know. Oh, there are my blood echoes. Thankfully we don't have to kill that guy this time if we get them back. I don't quite understand what determines that either. Because, yeah, that guy clearly killed me. So I don't know why he wouldn't have my blood echoes on him, whereas sometimes the enemy that killed you is, yeah, the one who is carrying your blood echoes. So I don't know what to make of that. One thing I was wondering whether perhaps it had to do whether the enemy kills you within its aggro range, which could make sense. Because if the blood echoes are dropped outside of where they generally patrol, and if the blood echoes don't reappear until And if the blood echoes don't reappear until you respawn, the blood echo stain, I guess, then yeah, there's really no point at which they would have changed the gravity. So perhaps something that I might test in the future, but I assume that at some point someone like Illusory Wall has probably already tested that. Oh, I see. That's actually pretty smart. This that looks, just based on the color, it looks like there's a fair bit of oil in that water. So this guy, presumably a distant cousin of Steve the MLG Hollow from the Force of Fallen Giants at in Dark Souls 2, is programmed to toss the firebombs or the Molotov cocktails in that pool of oil. Interesting. Okay. Wonder what is happening there. Ah, that kick. I guess it's a buff of sorts because. Whoa! That took off the majority of my life in one hit. Alright. That's what awaits us for the rest of this dungeon. We're in for a world of hurt, that's for sure. Okay, an enemy just died. There's a lot of rats over there. Another enemy just died. Hello. Wanna come over here? Have a little chat? No! You're making me waste pebbles. There we go. Right in the rear. Alright. Oh crap. There'll be a lot of rats. A lot of rats. So I'm not sure what I think about the Chalice Dungeon so far. And granted, this is just one generation of it. Where is the guy who... Oh, there's two different ladders. I see. I wonder if that one over there is a short... The one that was directly in front of the one we just descended is a short one, perhaps. Because it looks like there's a closed door on the top. I do want to go get those blood echoes, but at the same time there's only 900 of them or something. And it would require us having to fight that rather large, beastly fellow. Although I'm not sure that guy is actually a beast. Let's see, if we use a Molotov cocktail, that might give us a better idea. Oh yeah, it's a beast. Okay, so once again, Bloodborne was designed to engender a certain playstyle. And that is one of unbridled aggression. So, as you saw undoubtedly in my previous encounters with that enemy. Whoa! Whoa, you guys are new. There's a whole bunch of you. Whew. Okay. Oh, it's like Sense Fortress. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. Maybe I spoke too soon about the Chalice Dungeons. What I was trying to do when these guys stun-locked me to death last time was I was trying to toss a Molotov cocktail into the water, because I assumed it would also be filled with oil. But it doesn't have that same kind of rainbow type effect that you get when you mix oil with water, so that likely wouldn't have worked out anyway. But I do want to see if I can get them all. There we go. Come over here, fellas. If you want. It's like they're doing a little dance there. Keep getting blood echoes from somewhere. Not quite sure where. Enemies falling to their death, seemingly. Hello. Ah, come on. That's one thing that hasn't changed through any of the Souls games. The poor collision detection around corners. Ah, where are you? Some very poor stamina management there, but it worked out. Got a bevy of items here. Quicksilver bullets, I'll take it. Quicksilver bullets. Shiny coins. Blood vial. Tough cocktail. So again, I think what makes Souls games so special in part is, yeah, the deliberate placement of items and how that contributes to the implicit storytelling that's used so heavily and to such great effect in the Souls games. But that is fundamentally incompatible or irreconcilable with procedural generation in such a manner that, yeah, makes these chalice dungeons, at least in theory and based on what I know about them, problematic but interesting. But I will reserve... Oh my god, that scared me. I will reserve my ultimate judgment until such time as I've played them enough to actually be able to make such a judgment. Okay, so we have two ladders we can ascend here. One with Steve the MLG Hollow's cousin. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a video where basically the guy standing there and the Hollow who stands on the corner in Dark Souls 2 of the Pursuer's platform, right near the Cardinal Tower bonfire, just kind of tosses firebombs haphazardly. And doesn't have the greatest aim. But he certainly tries. I'll give Steve that. And the uploader's name escapes me, but I'm going to make a note of searching, of having a look on YouTube, seeing who it is so that I can mention it. Put it in my show notes for episode 9. Again, as I mentioned in the previous episode, I try my best to be accountable to myself and to others when it comes to giving credit where it's due, or correcting myself if I've said something that's incorrect or off base. Oh, we shouldn't spend too much time in the water. Okay. So yeah, so I'll try to do that with with respect to whoever it is that named that particular enemy Steve the MLG Hollow. I think it's Ortzdava? I don't know how to pronounce his name. The guy who made... He has a number of very funny videos, one of which is a video about alluring skulls in Dark Souls 2, and how effective but really ineffective they are. Oh, I see where I'm getting the souls from. It's the enemies dying to traps. So I guess one of the more comedic, but nevertheless demonstrative issues with procedural generation in a Souls game. Is that the enemies aren't necessarily programmed to be able to navigate traps. Oh! Alright. At the very least, the loading screens here are shorter than those of any other place I've been so far in the game. So I don't know if that can be construed really as a point in favor of the Chalice dungeons or a critique of the rest of the game, but whatever the case is, it's worth noting. Because usually I know... Oh, Steve's cousin. It was so funny. But yeah, that was this enemy here. He seemed to poison me with a single dart. Yep. That is crazy. And what we saw before the loading screen there, I don't know what I was doing there. I really shouldn't have died, but I was just more taken aback by the fact that, yeah, he killed me with a single dart. Or, he poisoned me with a single dart, rather. We should have our antidote out, just in case. But those that enemy is very reminiscent of the blow dart guys in Blight Town, in Dark Souls 1. Ouch. But even the blow dart guys, it took them, I think, two hits to inflict toxin. But another interesting thing that we saw... An interesting thing we saw right before the loading screen on my previous death was that, in fact, it does seem that the enemy's aggro or patrol range determines what happens to your bloodstain. Because that giant enemy with the sack on its back, right before the loading screen, you could see he turned and looked at... That gets me every time. You can see he turned and he looked at the camera, and he had the glowing eyes that indicates that he had my... Oh, this guy. See, now this guy has it. Oh yeah, all 0 blood echoes that I had there. So yeah, it would seem that my theory is at least partially correct. Alright, at least we finally got by that part. That seems a tad excessive, that with a single throwing knife, that enemy can inflict you with poison. Procedurally generated or not, this is a beautiful room here. But yeah, based on the fact that I think I've died more times here than I have in the rest of my playthrough so far, I think I might be correct about this area kind of being analogous to those of the challenge areas in Dark Souls 2, of which I was not at all a fan. And if you watch my Dark Souls 2 Let's Talk Lore series, you would have noticed that, in fact, I skipped most of those areas, notwithstanding Sir Lon and Memory of the Old Iron King, just because, despite the crappy lead-up to the boss, that's one of the cooler boss fights in the whole game. We have another Blodark guy up there, so let's go try and take him out. Oh no, that's not good. At least we got the Blodark guy. This fella doesn't look too friendly. No! At least he's rather slow. and he seems to be chained to the top floor. Is this enemy just continually spawning these guys? Yeah, that's... okay, so I need to actually go and kill him before anything else. Him or her. There we go. That's kind of a cool touch. Hi, friend. Got a nice little bell there. So know that they can be parried, but it's, presumably because I was on uneven terrain there, I couldn't riposte properly. What is this? Unlocked. Somewhere a door to the old labyrinth has opened. Is this an elevator? Maybe later? So we saw a similar smoke effect in Old Yarnum, but that smoke effect emanated from a burning pile of bodies. This seems to be a deliberate lantern or incense burner of sorts. Okay, let's make sure we didn't miss anything in this room before we try to find out. I assume that the door that opened is the one that was nearest the first lantern, or I guess in between the first and second lantern, since they were basically right next to each other. Is there anything else of interest down there? Yeah, again, very reminiscent of Sen's Fortress, even with the cages and everything on either side of the guillotines, with it looks like people in them. Or I suppose the other possibility is that the door opened on top of this ladder here. Let's check that first. Doesn't seem as though... oh, or is it? Or could I have opened that all along? I don't remember if I actually checked. In any case, we have a new path to explore. More incense burners up there, and thankfully no frame rate issues in the chalice dungeon. Oh crap! Alright, I gotta sit up here. This reminds me of the Flexile Sentry, kind of. And candles on its back. It's an interesting touch. Let's try and see its moveset. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay, so 2-hit combos. I wonder if that's all it is, just 2-hit combos. We're not doing a lot of damage at all. Do I have sandpaper? Oh, I don't. Oh! So I did something there. Maybe I hit a weak spot or something. because they did a fair bit of damage. Not as much as he does, though. I need to stop going for that second heal. At least it's not a very long run to the boss. Just gotta get by that rat there. I'm running dangerously low on blood vials, so I need to be very careful here. It was worth a try parrying him. We're out of blood vials now, so I was 100% certain that I was a goner there. I had a speck of health left. Realize, oh shit, I do not have any blood vials. I need some of that regain. Oh. Wow. Despite my misgivings about the dungeon itself, that was a pretty cool boss fight. And it seems that all of the boss fights, or at least all those that I've seen so far, aren't just as simple as learning the mechanics, or learning their moveset, dodging, and attacking. There seems to be, and I don't mean this in a derogatory fashion, but a gimmick or a mechanic to each boss that governs how you should fight them. In that case, much like Sif, and seemingly like the Cleric Beast, you seem to be able to damage the boss's limbs in such a way that changes how the boss fight carries out. So very, very cool. But that is going to be it for this episode. So I hope you enjoyed, and that you continue to enjoy the playthrough. I'm also actually just looking at the Blood Echoes now, and kind of surprised to see that that boss, I don't know how many souls I gained from fighting that boss, but that's not a lot at all. But in any case, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.